Hello everyone, how you doing today? So today we're going to talk about how to install and use Dolphin Emulator. So first thing you want to do is go to this website, dolphin-emu.org, and I'll have a link in the description for this, but what you're going to see on this webpage is this. And you're going to want to click on the Dolphin download right here, this button, and you're going to want to scroll down to stable versions. And you're going to click the most recent one, which is Dolphin 5.0. I'm on Windows, so I'm going to click Windows, but if you have Mac, you should click Mac. And it'll ask you if you want to keep it. It may not, but just let that download. And once that's done, you just gotta click Dolphin Executor, and it'll start the installation. So it's going to ask you to select a language. Let's go to that. I'm going with English because I speak English. Hit agree, and you don't need to change anything with these, just leave it as it is. And this will be your destination folder. I'm just going to leave that as it is. You can set it to whatever you want, it doesn't really matter. And it's going to install. It'll take a few minutes to do this, but once it's done you should be able to go right into the emulator. Alright, once it's done you will see this screen, and then just click finish. And now it'll be downloaded, so let's open it up. So you'll be prompted with this. It's just asking if it can collect data on your system in order to improve itself. If you don't want this, just say no. Otherwise, I'll just click yes. You're gonna have this screen. So what you're gonna do is, first, you're gonna want to set your game directory. So if you double click here, it'll open up a window to select a folder, and you just gotta have a folder with your games in it. Mine is in Documents, and then Dolphin Games. So as you see, I already have two games, Little King's Story and Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. One's a Wii game, one's a GameCube game. Dolphin can play both. Wii games are a little harder to run, but otherwise they should be both playable. So once you've got that set up, you're going to want to go to Config, and if you click on Paths, you can actually set multiple directories if you want to have like different folders for your games. I personally just like one folder, so I'm just going to leave it as that. So next you want to do graphics. So in graphics, this lets you upscale the game. So it's native at 640 by 528, and you can upscale it all the way up to 5K. Now I will say that if you don't have a strong computer, just leave it at native, because increasing the resolution will take up a lot from your computer. I personally have an okay computer, so I'm just going to have it at 720p. You can also do anti-aliasing, and there's some other features, but like a widescreen hack, which will force the aspect ratio to 16:9, where usually GameCube and Wii games were 4:3. This sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. It really, like, sometimes it'll make games look really weird and graphics and stuff will show up weird. So I mean, test this out on your own. Personally, I'm fine with 4:3. Other thing you should do is go to General. So in this one you can set to use full screen automatically when opening a game. That's nice if you don't want to have to full screen a game every time you open it. I'd also suggest show FPS. That way when you're playing the game you can see like how well your system's performing, and you can alter the graphics settings in order to make it run better. So next you're gonna have to set up controllers. So for GameCube games you use the GameCube controllers, and for Wii remotes you use the Wiimotes. So I'm just gonna set up a GameCube controller. So first, when you open it, it will default to keyboard and mouse. If you don't have a controller and play with keyboard and mouse, this is where you'll set up the controls. It's defaulted to these buttons. Personally, I think playing with a controller is much easier, so I'm just gonna use a controller. And if you didn't notice, my gamepad wasn't showing up at first, so I just hit refresh and it'll check for new devices, and the gamepad showed up. So as you can see, all the buttons are still mapped to your keyboard. What you're going to do is clear all that, and then just input all the buttons. You just click on the thing and press the button on the controller, and it'll recognize what button you're pushing and assign it. Now I'm just going to skip ahead and do all these. Alright, I've got them all set up. So one thing I want to note is that under the triggers part, if you only have L and R set up, it'll just be on or off. And as you can see with the left analog, right analog part, that's turning red. But if you just do L and R again for L analog and R analog, you can actually, it'll do pressure sensitivity, so you can like sort of half press a button instead of full or none. And once you've got all that set up, I'd recommend saving this as a profile. Now this is just my Xbox controller, so that's what I'm going to save it as, and just hit save. And now, say you like mess up the buttons or you change something, like they all disappear, you can just load the profile and it'll all be right back. You can also make different profiles for different games, because I know some games, if you're like me using an Xbox controller, some games it'll feel kind of weird, the button layout, compared to how like GameCube games are. So you might make a separate profile just for that game and like rearrange the buttons. It's all pretty easy, all pretty simple. The Wii remotes are the same, but they're a lot more complicated because they have the IR sensor as well as like shake and tilts. Now, I wouldn't recommend using a controller for the Wii remote emulation. It's like there are some games that work with it, but it's very finicky. If you want to use an actual Wii remote for this, there are videos out there I would recommend looking up, and they'll teach you how to Bluetooth your Wii remote to your computer so you can play with an actual Wii remote. So last thing you want to do is check out the hotkeys. So if you go to options and then hotkey settings, you'll get this screen, which is a lot. Like, it looks like a lot right now, but it's actually not that complicated. A lot of these you probably won't even know what they do. I mean, I don't know what half of them do, but some big ones that you want to know is like open or stop, pause, reset, toggle full screen, take screenshot, exit, like stuff like that. That's what you want to look at. So for this one, I would recommend leaving it onto keyboard. You can actually set it to the your controller and like do these inputs with your controller, but if you run into a game with them set on your controller, you might accidentally do the inputs. So I'd honestly recommend just sticking with keyboard and mouse. So when you're doing hotkeys, when you click the button, it'll just ask for an input, and you just press whatever button you want, and then it'll be set up. So when you press that button in game, it'll do whatever command you have set. And now once you've got your hotkeys set up, you're going to want to start into a game. So I'm just going to load up Twilight Princess. So to do that, you could double click, or you can click it and then click open here in the top left corner. Now once you've got it open, you can alt enter to full screen it, and you'll see in the top left that's the FPS. The one in the top right is my NVIDIA FPS, so don't worry about that one, it's going to be the same either way. And then just press the button and you can load it into a game. So when you get into the game, it'll say that your memory card's corrupted. That's because you don't have a memory card yet. So what you're going to want to do is just hit yes on that, and it will create a memory card for you. Dolphin already emulates the memory card, so you don't have to worry about that. And then it'll just say formatting it will erase all the data, but you don't have any data. So just go ahead and do that. And then once it's complete, it'll say at the top that you have created a memory card and that it has saved to it. It'll do that every time you save, and so now you can make saves and you just create a save file. It'll work. It'll show at the top again that you saved, and then you're ready to play the game, and that's all you need to do. Alright, that's everything you need to know about how to install Dolphin and how to use it. Thanks for watching.